Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine. It's about 1:30 p.m. here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on May 14th, 2020. I wanted to bring everybody some good news today. I actually rushed to do this video. I saw this on Never Lose Truth channel. This is huge news. It's huge news. It's very, very good news. Very, very good news. The only thing is it comes with some caveats. The local counties are kind of pushing back against this, but I still wanted to just put this out there so it can spread, and hopefully some dominoes will fall. Hopefully some dominoes of freedom will fall. And myself, I really didn't, never would have thought that this could happen. Would have thought that a state court could actually overturn the lockdown in any state, because from my understanding, or kind of what I guessed, right? Because of the targeting. Because of the targeting, it's like when we try and go to court, the judges won't rule in our favor because it's a national security problem. So I definitely thought, I was like, well, with this lockdown, I thought it was actually protected by some kind of national security protocol, but this proves that it is not. This proves that judges actually can rule against it. And there's obviously some pushback right away by a bunch of local counties where there's a lot of people who work for the NWO, right? But let's go ahead and read it. I want to show you all some stuff on it, and I'll put anything. All these articles and videos I'm going to show you in the description. So, Wisconsin Supreme Court strikes down state stay-at-home order. Very, very good news. We need some hope. We need some hope, even if it's a little bit more complicated than just like, hey, everybody's going to get to go back to work. And I think some local counties have already, have already put in new stay-at-home orders. And things like that, and they're even saying that they're saying basically they can give people fines and put people in jail, but they hope they're not going to have to do that. So there's already a lot of pushback, but still and I don't want to say symbolic, as a real thing that happened. It's still very, very hopeful, and it could cause a lot of other states to follow suit. That's really, really what I'm hoping for. And it caused a lot of rigorous debate. There's already a lot of rigorous debate, and I want to show you some of these videos. Like a lot of the local county, one of the local counties, Dane County, put out a video about its response, and that basically everything they're telling people it's all gonna stay the same, and just do what you were doing before. That this doesn't change anything, and they had to take down their likes and dislikes. They had to, turn that off and turn the comments off, and it shows how many people want to go back to work. Do not believe that this virus is as dangerous as the mainstream media is saying. I don't even believe it's what they're saying. But at least we have, it's showing the majority of the population, knowing that this is a pandemic. So the Wisconsin Supreme Court has overturned the state's stay-at-home order, ruling it unlawful and unenforceable in a high-profile win for the state's Republican-led legislature. In a 4-3 decision Wednesday, the court ruled that Democratic government Tony Evers' administration overstepped its authority when the State Department of Health Services extended the order to May 26th. So it has to do with the governor made this unilateral movement, and he basically decided that one cabinet member could issue the stay-at-home orders for the whole state. And there's unconstitutionality. There's an unconstitutionality. I don't even know if that's a word, but it's unconstitutional. A lot of the Republican representatives were the plaintiffs in the state of Wisconsin, and they ruled that it was unconstitutional due to that executive power being exercised. So the ruling comes after the legislature's Republican leaders filed a lawsuit last month arguing the order would cost Wisconsin residents their jobs and hurt many companies, asserting that if it was left in place, our state will be in shambles. The suit was filed specifically against State Department of Health Services Secretary designee Andrea Palm and other health officials who made the decision in mid-April to extend the state's Safer at Home emergency order. At the same time as the extension, the state loosened some restrictions on certain businesses, including golf courses, public libraries, and arts and crafts stores. But the justices wrote in their decision Wednesday that an agency cannot confer on itself the power to dictate the lives of law-abiding individuals as comprehensively as the order does without reaching beyond the executive branch's authority. So they're basically saying that the executive branch, the governor, is overreaching, and he's one cabinet member, making this decision for a whole state. Now, what's happening is all these separate counties are like pushing back, and they've already issued many of them have already issued their own stay-at-home orders. So it gets really complicated and chaotic. But I think just the judges making this decision is just super hopeful. I could have never guessed that this would have happened. And that's a problem. That's a problem in the world right now, is that, I'll show you guys some of the comments on Never Lose Truth's channel, and people are very dubious about this, right? They're like, maybe they're going to make an example out of Wisconsin. There's going to be more people infected, or when the second wave hits, it's not gonna be as hopeful as it looks, right? But any hope is great right now, and I think that a spark can really turn into a flame. Especially if other states do this too. If other governors have made this decision unilaterally, other state Supreme Courts can also rule the lockdowns unconstitutional. It looks like states with a lot of Republican representation, right? And Donald Trump actually lauded the judgment. He said it was like a really great day, right? I don't know exactly what he said, but Donald Trump was all for this, so that's also a great sign. But the justices wrote in their decision Wednesday that an agency cannot confer on itself the power to dictate the lives of law-abiding individuals as comprehensively as the order does without reaching beyond the executive branch. Did I already read that? I think I already read that. Evers, who had ordered Palm to issue the stay-at-home order in late March, told CNN's Don Lemon, worst journalist of the year, later Wednesday that the court's ruling puts our state into chaos. Now we have no plan and no protections for the people of Wisconsin, Evers said. So there's a lot of pushback on it, but I'm going to show you one of these videos where the people of Wisconsin, the people of America, want to go back to work. They love this decision, right? And when anybody comes in and says, well, the decision was made and now local counties are going to, basically put new rules into place and they will be enforceable, fines and arrests and stuff like that, the people hate it. The public in America hates it. When you have more people, and they should, because this is, really the biggest crime ever committed globally. And it's just bringing in tyranny unimaginable, in a level that's unimaginable. And me saying that, you guys know I am tortured with neuroweapons and directed energy every day. So if I say that this is like the worst thing ever, I don't think it's as bad as the targeting, but it's something that all the public is seeing, right? So it's a good place. I mean, it's not a great place to start, but y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. That the public hates this is a good sign. When you have more people in a small place, I don't care if it's bars, restaurants, or your home, you're going to be able to spread the virus. And so now, today, thanks to the Republican legislatures who can convince 4 Supreme Court justices to not look at the law, but look at their political careers, I guess, it's a bad day for Wisconsin. So this is all the people that are New World Order shills being upset about it, saying it's the Wild West. Let's look at this article from NPR. So Wisconsin Supreme Court overturns the state's stay-at-home orders. Wisconsin Supreme Court has overturned the state's safer-at-home orders and mandated that all future statewide restrictions to battle the coronavirus must be approved by the legislature's rulemaking committee before they could be implemented. So they're basically saying just the governor can't do this unilaterally. It's unconstitutional, but it's still a huge deal. It's still a huge deal because I really did feel like these stay-at-home orders and all these regulations and the tyranny was going to be protected by national security, right? And it's showing me that it's not. It's showing me that it should show us all that some states can actually fight back. So it's really a great thing. It's really a great thing to see people fighting back. Now, is it further deception? Is it some kind of left versus right? More of a civil war on purpose? I don't know. I'm very dubious about anything. But for right now, I just want to be like, victory. Take the little victories and just grow them. Try and push those dominoes, right? Like Wisconsin, these judges made this ruling, and hopefully other states will follow along. Hopefully we'll see some pushback from law enforcement too in Wisconsin, where if they are asked to do things under local rules, right? Like they're asked to give people fines or arrest them, they may cite the unconstitutionality of it. So it could actually get a bigger conversation going on amongst law enforcement. Sorry, I can't talk today. I'm extremely getting extremely hit. Things are a little bit better. All this is insane, but I had to do a video on this. I had to put something out right away so people can pass around something that's hopeful. So it seems like everything about being targeted with neuroweapons and directed energy weapons is far from hopeful. And then everything that's been coming down the pike lately, during the pandemic, the draconian orders and so much unemployment, the destruction of our society, the planned destruction of our society has been a real downer. It's been a real downer. So this was something I was like jumping up in joy and just clapping. And we need these things. We need these things no matter how it turns out, no matter if it's more complicated. We need these victories. No matter how tired we are, as I always say, how tired I am from being tortured in my home and gang stalked. You have to stand up and do the right thing. We have to stand up and be hopeful and be human to each other, right? So the court ruled to strike down the orders 4-3 on Wednesday, with conservative Justice Brian Hagedorn, it's an interesting name, Hagedorn, dissenting. The legal challenge was brought against Andrea Palm. Wow. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services Secretary and other health officials by Republican state lawmakers who have been pushing to relax restrictions and take a more regional approach for stay-at-home orders over the last weeks, as Wisconsin Public Radio reported. According to the ruling, Palm broke state law when she issued on April 16th safer-at-home order that prohibited Wisconsin residents from leaving their homes unless it was essential. That order was ruled to be unlawful, invalid, and unenforceable. I don't understand how individual counties can overrule a state Supreme Court ruling. But we're gonna listen to this guy talk about it. I still think it's a huge win just to see a state Supreme Court and the Republican representatives as the plaintiff, really pushing back, and then the president being happy about that. It's still very hopeful. And I do think that things are very controlled. But when good things happen, we have to celebrate them. We have to work off their steam, right? just everybody who's speaking out against this can use this as an example, can use this situation as an example of all of this being completely unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional, unlawful, immoral. It's really terrorism. It's terrorism what they're doing. It's crime. But people who are like kind of compliant and don't really, and they're like, they think everything's conspiracy theory and not actual conspiracy, like what we're up against, it can be something to really open their eyes. So the restrictions were set to expire on May 26th and followed the state's original stay-at-home orders implemented in March. Governor Tony Evers and his administration will be severely limited in their power to issue further mandates, since any future orders will need to be approved by the conservative majority state legislature. So they're gonna start, the local legislatures and local government are gonna have already set up like new stay-at-home orders, but some may not, right? Some may not. Some may go with the state Supreme Court ruling. So I showed those two articles. I saw this on Never Lose Truth, and if you guys, I'm sure everybody who watches my channel is subscribed to her, but please subscribe to her if you're not. I mean, she's really on top of like weather warfare, everything to do with this pandemic. Just a very, very, very awesome woman. I wanted to read some of her comments. I'm gonna put this video in the description, but I wanted to read some of the comments because they're kind of voicing. I have some doubts, right, that it'll be as positive as I want it to be, but still, it's good news. It's good news. So Robert Bruce says, "Let me make this simple. The test is a fraud, as in everything, and all things will test positive." Okay, well, we know that. Let's go to this. Here's Line in the Land. So she says, and I gave her a thumbs up on her comment, says, "Wisconsin, enjoy yourselves till fall, when these tyrannical devils plan something even more diabolical." And you got all the health officials and everything talking about the second wave already, and how bad the winter's going to be. But for today, and hopefully a long time, we'll see where this story goes, right? We need to spread it around, right? We need to spread hopeful stories around that can get people rallied behind them. So we got to celebrate it. Got to celebrate the victory here. I kind of agree, though. I don't want to, I want to see this and be like, man, good things are going to come from it, but I just see things as so controlled. And I see that a lot of things that seem hopeful, it's kind of, they kind of give it to the people who are really upset to keep them at bay. But, this feels pretty real. S. Reitz Bear says, "I'm in Wisconsin, no sun here. Chemtrails spraying almost every day. We had frost warnings for days, so unable to plant a garden. Milwaukee already implemented another stay-at-home order." So yeah, these counties are issuing their own local orders, and I want you to listen to some of these guys talking about saying like hopefully they won't have to arrest anybody or issue citations and fines and stuff like that. But it really is chaos. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't understand how local local counties can make rules overruling the state Supreme Court's ruling. So it's going to be interesting, in quotation marks, to see what happens. Each mayor in each city will decide to enforce or lift the order. Racine and Kenosha showing higher cases of the virus. Most stores here allowed to open with up to 5 customers at a time. A real joke. Love your channel, been watching for months. So yeah, and so they're going to keep a lot of, in a lot of counties, still social distancing, still the masks and everything like that. Fewer people allowed in places of businesses, and a lot of them are saying, act as if they're saying how you woke up last week and did things, keep it like that, right? But I think people are fed up. They want to go back to work. The population is tired of going along with this, and everybody should have just ignored it. That's what I think. I've kind of ignored it. But this will some of those people that are like, want to follow the rules or whatever, which I don't think that anybody should do that anymore. They'll have some more courage. They'll say the state Supreme Court said I can go to work. Screw you guys. Screw you, New World Order. Screw you, New World Order. Victory. So Able Body 2020 says, keep your eyes on the judges that voted for its freedom. Thank you, judges in Wisconsin. So this kind of mirrors what I'm feeling, but I just want to get this story around and let people pass it around, and it's something that can instill hope. Especially like no matter what happens. I just thought this was like a national protocol. I mean, national security protocol. So for me, it was like this eye-opening. Wait, a state court can do that? They can overrule the lockdown? That's a really good sign. So the world has gone totally insane. I agree. It says, while this is no doubt great news, just please keep in mind there are many layers to their deception. Sometimes what seems a win may not really be one. That's what I worry about. With a lot of the things that look really good, is it something carefully crafted to get people against each other, to maybe people go back to work in Wisconsin, the lockdown is lifted in some places, and those people somehow, because there's going to be more testing, somehow they're found to have higher infection rates, right? And everything about this is just so... Like, I do believe there's a complication, and I believe that people are suffering from something. But I just don't... You guys know what I think. The mainstream media story is just completely wrong. But I think it's pretty complicated, But you got to say, and I say this a bunch, and a lot of people say this a lot too. They say, like, even if this is, real pandemic, which I just don't believe that at all, that it's only a 0.1% fatality rate. So it's not a reason to take everybody's freedoms away and implement, 1984 with a lot more technology than was in that book. Ridge says, clapping, awesome job, Wisconsin. Yeah, Patricia Massey says, best news I've heard in 2 months. There was another comment that I wanted to read. Yeah, Rosie B says the individual counties have decided to stay closed, so Wisconsin isn't free yet. Tyranny still reigns. Still, it could cause courts to make the same decision in other states, and I kind of think law enforcement will be thinking a little bit harder about doing some of the draconian enforcement. I just really do. It's better than it not happening, right? It's better than it not happening. Let's just hope for now. Let's take it as a victory for now. We'll take what we can get, right? So let's listen to this guy. Let's listen to Rick Esenberg. He kind of explains what the ruling was about. Let's listen to this real quick.
Why did you feel that this order was not necessary given the concerns about the pandemic and whether or not people should be gathering?
It's important to note that this case was not about whether we should have a safer at home restrictions or what those restrictions should be. This case was about how you decide what those restrictions would be. And the law provided that the governor could ask for 60 days under the declaration of a public health emergency. After that, he had no authority to act unless the legislature continued that emergency. He attempted to act unilaterally by arguing that a single cabinet official could lock down the state indefinitely, and the court said, look, the law simply can't do that. If the law did do it, it would probably be unconstitutional. And so I think the where we are right now is because the governor decided to act unilaterally. We are left with nothing in place. And it is now up to the legislature and the governor if they believe that some type of restrictions are necessary to enact those into law now.
Well, let me ask you one other quick follow-up to that. So if the court said that the Department of Health and Services Secretary didn't have that authority, when you look at what the mayor of Milwaukee might be doing, what other counties might be doing, would they be able to turn to their health departments and say they want their own safer at home policy here? Do you think that has been, in essence, struck down, that they're not going to be allowed to do that?
So they already
They may be
are.
able to do something. That's a separate issue. As I read the court's decision, however, if the Department of Health Services doesn't have the authority to order people to stay at home, to forbid essential travel, or to order businesses to shut down, then I don't think that the localities have that power either. This is not to say that they can do nothing, but I don't think that they can do anything as broad as the governor's safer at home orders. I think in order to do that or something like that,
I kind of also think this is what I was thinking. I hate doubting like really good news, and y'all know what I think. As long as there's like good people in the world fighting for freedom, we have not lost. You know, it does look really bad, but I was thinking that it's like this is kind of a ploy to give local governments more power in making huge decisions. Maybe a lot of angles to it, but still right now I kind of want to look at it with naive eyes and just like, man, the positive dominoes can really fall, right? You know, other states can stand up. Law enforcement can say, I'm not enforcing fines or jail time because this is a constitutional law issue, right? It can get a huge, and you know, there's already a huge debate, and everybody's so way more than unhappy. It's very, very dark times, but it can stir up more debate. It can stir up more inspiration for people to go out and protest and put up the positive news that's happening and get people more inspired to work against this. And so check this out. This is the let me read it real quick. It's the name of the county. They turned off the comments. It's Dane County. So they're pushing back. This is a local county that's pushing back. Safer at home order guidelines still in place in Dane County. So these local governments have just put new things in place. They talk about still enforcing some of the stay-at-home rules, but I just think it's going to be a little bit harder for a cop to issue a fine or arrest somebody with a constitutional ruling by the state Supreme Court. So today the Wisconsin Supreme Court voted to invalidate the safer at home order issued by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services effective immediately. We are disappointed in the ruling as the safer at home order has substantially slowed the increase of CV-19 cases in Dade County. And you see they had to take the likes and dislikes down. I went ahead and disliked it, and they had to make the comments go away because everybody is sick of tyranny. Everybody's so sick of tyranny. We've had it up to here. I had it a long time before the pandemic. I had it up to my gills. I want to be free. I want to be able to do what I want to do. Tired of the New World Order. New World Order, you lose. You lose because you're evil. So let's listen to I think the reporter is asking about enforcement of laws, right? Enforcement of the stay-at-home order. Are they still going to arrest people, or are they still going to fine people?
And do the right thing for our neighbors.
Legal grounds can Madison and Dane County issue an order above the Supreme Court?
Do you want to talk to it? Marcy? This is Marcy, Corp Counsel. You guys are called Corp Counsel.
I'm not Corp Counsel, but I'm Marcy Pals, and I'm the Assistant City Attorney that advises public health. If you look at the ruling the Supreme Court struck down, they looked at the rulemaking authority of DHS Secretary, which is 227. That rulemaking authority does not apply to our local public health officer, so she has the authority under a different statute to issue orders.
Any legal action?
So you see, they're like, well, no, that ruling was for the statewide thing. We're still going to do it the same way in local counties, but it's a glimmer. It's a glimmer of hope, you know. The way that they say it too, this one lady's like, well, we hope that we're not going to have to arrest anybody, right?
On behalf of restaurants or other retailers who want to open because of the Supreme Court rule?
I can't predict whether there'll be legal actions. We did have an order in place before there was a statewide order, and we didn't have any legal actions at that point. I mean, I believe Janelle has the authority under 25203 to issue the orders she has issued.
The legislature and governor come together with a plan. Would that supersede your plan?
It would depend on what their plan said and whether they issued orders that superseded us.
Some question about churches. Can you speak to, are those still on, you know, I guess it wasn't clear what the Supreme Court said, and so it's...
Well, there's another Supreme Court case pending right now dealing with the churches issue. Within the order that Janelle issued, there's an exception for churches. They're treated as essential businesses, so they can be open at the 25% capacity, the same as an essential business now.
They did?
Yes.
Is that all that's in that section of the county order, county and city order regarding religious entities?
Yes.
Can we base any plans for reopening off of the current Badger Bounce Back plan?
So we are looking at the metrics that have been outlined in the Badger Bounce Back plan, and we are also looking at metrics that make sense for Dane County that allow us to have a bit more in-depth, specific understanding of what is going on in our community. So we are considering adding some additional metrics.
Changes to the data that you're seeing create any plans that extend beyond that May 26th?
I think we don't know yet. I mean, we are as hopeful as everyone else is that we can get, you know, as the governor has been saying, turn the dial, however we want to talk about it, move into a new phase. But we have to let the data guide us. And right now, we don't know what that looks like. We have just started aggressive testing. We have maintained for quite a while a low positivity rate.
So, I mean, like, what I think when they say more testing, can I say this? I think that more people are going to show to be infected because we all have those exosomes. I want to see this as a win right now. You know, I just really want to see this as a win, and I hope other states will follow suit, and I hope it will just really, really cause problems for the New World Order. And I'm very surprised that this wasn't covered by some kind of national security protocols. So that's hopeful for me. So I just wanted to pass this information along to you guys. I hope everybody's doing okay, relatively okay. We're going to kind of see what happens here. But please, you know, share this information. I'm going to put Never Lose Truth's video in the description also. Please subscribe to her channel and like her videos. She's a brilliant woman. Yeah, we got to see what happens, but for right now, let's take it as a win, right? Anything good, anything good, I'll take it. I love you guys. I just wanted to show you all this real quick. Definitely get it out there. You know, I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one.